Hello everyone, my name is Koma Signolo. Welcome to another video by Attention Matrix, where we try to make learning fun and easy. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you would like us to continue making this content and you enjoy it or find it helpful. Now on to the next video. Let's get right into it. Okay, welcome back to our video lessons on financial mathematics. In today's video, we will be looking at the annuity example, the present value example of the annuity. So we'll be doing a present value calculation for an annuity. Okay, so let's hop right into it. Okay, so this question is from a past exam paper from a 2014 November paper 1 exam. And this is what it said. Okay, it says Daryl is planning to buy his first home. Okay, so Daryl is planning to buy his first home. The bank will allow him to use a maximum of 30% of his monthly salary to repay the bond. 30% of his monthly salary to repay the bond. Okay, so he'll have a bond that he will have to repay, and the amount of the bond has to be 30% of his salary. Okay, so the first question that they ask us here is 7.2.1. That's that question there. They're asking us to calculate the maximum amount that the bank will allow Daryl to spend each month on his bond repayments if Daryl earns 18,480 rands per month. Okay, so basically this is straightforward. They're asking us to calculate 30% of 18,480 because they said the bank will allow him to use a maximum of 30% of his monthly salary, and his monthly salary is 18,480. So this one is straightforward. We just calculate 30% of that amount. Okay, so 7.2.1 bond is equal to 30% of 30% times 18,480. Okay, and if you punch that into your calculator, let's do that right now. Let me clear the screen, shift that thing there. So that's 30% times 18480. Is it 18480? 18480 it is. So that is 5,544 rands. So that's 5,544. Okay, that's straightforward. Okay, that's the answer for the first part of that question there. Now the second question says, suppose at the end of each month, Daryl repays the maximum amount allowed by the bank. The maximum allowed amount that he's gonna pay is 5,544. Okay, we just calculated it now. So they're saying in 7.2.2 there, they're saying suppose at the end of each month, Daryl repays the maximum amount allowed by the bank. How much money does Daryl borrow? Okay, keyword borrow. How much money does Daryl borrow if he takes 25 years to repay the loan at a rate of 8% compounded monthly? Okay, the first repayment is made 1 month after the loan is granted. Okay, so let us explain that. And I actually want to explain something important about the last part of that question there. So 7.2.2. Okay, there's something important that I want to explain. Okay, so that last part there, they're saying the first repayment is made 1 month after the loan is granted. I just want to explain something about this before I actually address the question. Okay, so whenever a loan is taken, okay, and this should be kept in mind when solving these problems. When you approach a bank in real life, when you approach a bank, right, say you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house or you want to buy something, and you approach a bank to grant you a loan. You approach a bank to borrow money from them. Okay, so the bank will grant you a loan, right? They will grant you a loan. And usually you will have to repay back the loan in the form of monthly installments, right? In the form of monthly installments. Monthly installments. Okay, now usually how this works in real life is that you will pay your first monthly installment at the end of your first month. Okay, at the end of the first month, that's when you pay your monthly installment. So if, say, you borrow money today, I'm gonna call today times 0, right? This is today. Okay, this is today, right? And then this is 1 month, this is 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever. This is month number 1, this is month number 2, month number 3, month number 4, month number 5, month number 6. Okay, so if you borrow money today from a bank, you'll usually start paying off the money at the end of the first month. Usually at the end of the first month. You could have a discussion with the bank and have an agreement for you to start paying back the money, say 2 or 3 months later. But usually the default is usually you start paying back the money after the end of the first month, right? And you pay it every month after that. Now, when you finally get to the last month, say it's gonna take you 6 months to pay off the loan amount. You paid off from the end of the first month to the end of the last month. Okay, from the end of the first month to the end of the last month. Now, in this case, how many payments is this going to be? How many payments? If you borrow money and you want to pay it back in 6 months, how many payments is this going to be? This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's 6 payments that you're going to have to pay to the bank, right? With interest, of course. Now, you don't pay the money at the beginning of the first month, because if you pay the money at the beginning of the first month, then it would be 7 payments, right? It would be 7 payments, and then n in your future value or your present value. In this case, we're dealing with the present value. So your n in your present value will be 7 if you are paying back the money from the beginning of the first month. Now, in the real world, it doesn't usually work like that. In the real world, when you borrow money today, you don't start paying back the money today because you don't have it today. You're borrowing the money today. You're gonna have to start paying it at a later date. The later date is usually the end of the first month, right? You can't go to the bank today, borrow money today, and the bank gives you the money today, and you start paying them back the money today immediately. It doesn't make sense, right? So you pay back the money at the end of the first month so that you get enough time to at least get the money, or the first payday comes, and then you get some funds to pay back the loan. Okay, so this is just that thing that I wanted to clear out for this thing. So if you start paying back the money immediately, right, not at the end of the month, immediately, then just have a closer look at your n, at your value of n. Make sure that you're using the right value of n in your equations. Okay, so pay close attention to the value of n that you use, the number of payments that you make to the bank. Okay, so let's get back to the actual question. I just wanted to clear that out. Let's get back to the actual question. Right, so 7.2.2 says, suppose at the end of each month, Daryl repays the maximum amount allowed, which is that. We just calculated it there. That's 5,544, right? Daryl repays the maximum amount allowed by the bank. How much money does Daryl borrow if he takes 25 years to repay the loan at a rate of 8% per annum compounded monthly? Now, the key word there is borrow, right? Whenever you see words like loan, whenever you see words like borrow, whenever you see words like lend, right, know that you are most likely, in all likelihood, you're dealing with the present value formula. Okay, now in this case, I've already made it clear in this video, in the beginning of this video, that this example is a present value example. But how do you know whether to use the present value or the future value? When you have money today, usually when you borrow money or you get loaned an amount of money, then you are usually dealing with the present value because you get borrowed money today. They give you money today. You approach a financial institution, you approach a bank, and they give you the money today. If they give you the money today and you have to pay back the money at some later date, then you are dealing with the present value. That's how you identify that you're dealing with the present value. Okay, and so therefore in this question, you are in fact dealing with the present value and not the future value. You're dealing with the future value if you are working towards an amount of money that you will get in future, right? That's when you use the future value. In this case, you're using the present value because you are borrowing money, or Daryl rather is borrowing money from the bank. Okay, so then you will have to use this formula, the present value formula. Okay, you can get it from your formula sheet. There's no point in trying to memorize it. Get it from your formula sheet. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is your present value formula. Now all you have to do is substitute, because they're asking you how much money does Daryl borrow if he takes 25 years to repay the loan. So you have all your values here, right? You have all your parameters. What is X? X is the value that we just calculated. X is the monthly payment that Daryl will have to make in order to pay back the loan, the amount of money that he's going to borrow. We just calculated it from the previous question, because from the previous question, they said, calculate the maximum allowed that the bank will allow Daryl to spend each month on his bond repayments. His repayments, so these are the monthly amounts that he is paying back to the bank for the money that he intends to borrow today. Okay, so that's X. We have it already. What is I? I has also been given to us in the question. Okay, I has been given to us in the question. It is 8% compounded monthly. Okay, so it is 8% compounded monthly. So I is 8%. 8% compounded monthly. So if it's compounded monthly, remember you divide it by 12. You divide it by 12 if it's compounded monthly. So that's that I there. That's the interest rate. And then N has been given to us as 25 years. But because it's been compounded monthly, you multiply the years by 12. How many months are in a year? You've got 12 months in a year. So you multiply the 25 years by 12. Okay, so we've been given 25 years. You just multiply that by 12. And then you solve. So this is a straightforward forward example. You just solve. Okay. Now you just solve for the present value. The present value, this is the amount that Daryl will have to borrow. Okay, so the monthly installments are 5544. We calculated that from the previous question. Then you've got 1 minus open bracket 1 plus 8%. 8% compounded monthly. Okay, remember to add that, and then minus 25 times 12. Okay, then close your brackets, then divided by 8% compounded monthly. So you're just basically substituting and solving. Okay, straightforward. If I'm going to punch this into my calculator, I will have 5544 open bracket 1 minus open bracket 1 plus 8% divided by 12, because it's compounded monthly. Then close your brackets, all to the power of negative 25 times 12. Then close your bracket, all divided by 8%. Remember, do not miss the 8%, put it in there. Okay, then this is how much Daryl will have to borrow. Okay, Daryl will have to borrow 718,305 rands and 71 cents. 718,305. 718,305. So that's gonna be 718,305 and 71 cents. Is it 71 cents? Yes, it is 71 cents. Okay, so this is how much Daryl will have to borrow. If Daryl takes his entire salary and takes just 30% of his salary and pays 30% of that salary into the bond, right, for 25 years every month, starting at the end of the first month, then this is how much he will have to borrow in order to finally take possession or own the home that he took the loan out for. Okay, so that's it. That's an example. That's a past exam question for the present value. It's simple, it's straightforward, nothing complicated about this. It's just a simple plug and solve type of example, and this is how you'd approach it. So the important thing to understand here is that you use the present value if you get the money today, if you have the money today, and the money that you get today is usually borrowed. It's usually loaned out to you. It's usually given out to you by a financial institution, and you usually have to pay it back to the financial institution on a monthly basis until you pay it off, of course, at an interest. Okay, so, and I think one of the most important things to understand that I pointed out is that the payments start at the end of the first month, or if it was yearly payments, then at the end of the first year, or if it was quarterly payments, then it would be at the end of the first quarter, or if it was semi-annual payments, it would be at the end of the first half, right? If you pay any money immediately, pay careful attention to the value of N. This value of N. Pay very careful attention to this value of N that you use. Okay, so for in this example that we just looked at now, we used 25. We used 25 because the money was paid back at the end of the first month, right? If it was paid back in the beginning of the first month, then this value of N was going to be 26, because that would have been an extra payment that you would have made. Okay, and you would have to take that into account in the present value formula. Okay, so that's basically how you use the present value formula. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. They can spin the questions, try to make the questions a bit difficult or trick you. There's so many ways to trick you. But essentially, if you understand the fundamentals, you should be able to solve all these questions. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Till next time. Lesson number one, lesson number one. Lesson number one, lesson number one.